So you see graduates or, I guess those who have come out of certifications expecting, starting salaries of 50, 60K. Within a year, they're expecting a 10K rise. And the challenge is that people like myself, recruiters, other employers, they're throwing money at candidates because there's such a talent shortage.
This is Velocitize Talks. I'm Andy North. I'm joined today by Holly Tattersall, founder and CEO of Women in Digital and the Digital Talent Company. Holly, thank you for being here with us.
Oh, thanks for the invite.
So you are a busy woman. You have two fantastic organizations. Tell us a little bit about Women in Digital and then Digital Talent Company.
Yeah, sure. So 5 years ago, I started Women in Digital largely as a passion project. So I was working in digital recruitment and I noticed the lack of female role models in the industry. A lot of the women that would come to interview with me would have, seemingly a lack of confidence or, lack some direction. And myself, I had sort of had an interesting journey and felt like I could really relate. I was fortunate enough to have a mentor kind of take me under her wing and benefited so much from it that I was inspired to start Women in Digital just as a bit of a side hobby while I was working in recruitment. So I really got so much out of it. There was such support in the industry for it. Fast forward 3 years from that, so 3 years ago now, I started the digital recruitment agency, Digital Talent Co. After seeing, the caliber of my network, the number of people who are asking about, how they can hire more women in the industry, where they can get, their next great job. So it's all sort of, happened out of following my passion.
And you're also an MBA candidate right now. So I simply don't know how you have time to do it all, quite honestly. You've had a great career. You were a triple major as an undergraduate. You studied at Columbia. We are working on your MBA here, and you've been on the list of top young entrepreneurs in Queensland, which is fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
First of all, how do you find time for it all? And secondly, as a serial entrepreneur, what advice would you give to young men and women who are interested in starting their own organizations?
Yeah, I think it's really important to follow your passion and what you actually love, because I don't see a line between my work and my life. So, if I'm working on an assignment over the weekend, it's often, using Women in Digital as the topic for the assignment, and it becomes, it's because it's a passion and it's developing my business. It's something that I find time for and I enjoy finding time for. There are many times, though, when I sort of feel like, what am I doing to myself? I should be out partying right now. But it's definitely been a worthwhile journey to pursue my passion. As far as, other sort of, aspiring entrepreneurs, I would say it's really important to find something that you're passionate about and make it a side hobby, a side business, a side hustle, whatever you want to call it, and see and prove the concept of the business. There's a really famous business called Shoes of Prey here in Australia, and the idea was to customize shoes. So you could have whatever color, whatever heel, whatever this, that, the other, and, going out and speaking to customers and saying, would you buy this? They said, yes, absolutely. But, fast forward a number of years, customers didn't buy. So I think it's really important to prove the concept by actually taking orders and, seeing whether or not you have something that people want to actually transact for before, launching, going all in.
You mentioned that you've been helping women find their voice with their careers and in the marketplace and encouraging them to grow their careers. And obviously you look for great talent, which is in short supply worldwide. Yeah. How are you helping your clients find great talent, and then how are you also taking some of your clients who are very talented and matching them with the right careers, not just any career?
Yeah. Well, with Women in Digital, we do regular events and meetups. So the idea is always around professional development and like technical skill development. So one of our next meetups is coding for non-coders. And that'll be a workshop where, aspiring digital marketers, designers, business owners can learn about, software development fundamentals and see whether or not that's a, path that they want to pursue, or at least kind of enhance their skills in the workplace. What I find really interesting is working with employers and actually kind of brainstorming where they're going to find that next great hire. So one particular digital agency, we sort of started to track where their best hires were coming from, and they found that they were often data science or math grads from university. And what they saw was that it's much easier with the increasing importance of data to hire a data grad, somebody who is really passionate about the numbers, and bring them in and teach them digital marketing instead of doing it the other way around, which is the traditional model of hiring a digital marketer and then hoping and training in the analytics skills.
You mentioned data scientists, and obviously that was a niche for several years. What marketing specialties do you see companies looking for most often now?
Yeah, well, this is a really interesting question, because what we're seeing is a lot of companies really craving niche skills in SEO, PPC, programmatic advertising, and we're seeing a real pushback from candidates who actually don't want to be pigeonholed, because they'll often find they'll become deep technical experts in one area and then they'll hit a glass ceiling. They don't necessarily want to become SEO team leaders because your salary and your potential is really capped. It's a really funny area, because at a certain point, if you have specialized, you'll often go and start your own agency. So a lot of companies are really in this challenge of kind of having to bring on grads, train them, and accept that they've got a shelf life of maybe 3 to 4 years, and they're really going to have to hope they want to stay in that specialization.
So are you seeing these graduates that are coming out now expecting to immediately get the right job that they've wanted their whole life?
Oh, yeah.
Or are they still willing to put in the time to sort of work up towards it?
No, they're not willing to wait, particularly in digital. So you see graduates, or those who have come out of certifications expecting, starting salaries of 50, 60K. Within a year, they're expecting a 10K rise. And the challenge is that people like myself, recruiters, other employers, they're throwing money at candidates because there's such a talent shortage. So you're seeing a real lack of patience. The market doesn't punish these people for moving. So they're often really fussy about what roles they're going for, how much they expect for the next opportunity, and not willing to just be trained. They want to be the team leader tomorrow because they did a unit at university.
Is that local talent staying here in Australia? Occasionally you can see them go to London, the UK, or the US. Are they wanting to stay more closer to home?
No, not necessarily. I think they're wanting to move down to Sydney or Melbourne, and then you'll see, at the moment we're seeing a great flux of talent back to Brisbane for lifestyle reasons. But definitely the best talent often moves overseas. We had an incredible AI specialist that was a real community leader here in Brisbane, and she wasn't able to get the government support to get an AI hub off the ground. So she actually moved over to the US and has been flourishing ever since, because there's a deeper appreciation over there of the importance of AI and technical skills. So we often do lose some of the best talent, but they come back for lifestyle.
Well, that's good. Digital transformation is obviously a buzzword in the industry right now. Are there companies who are taking people who have had a type of career, let's say marketing, and they've been in their role for a while, and they want to become more skilled at other areas? Are you seeing more of that developing that existing talent, or are they continuing to just bring it in?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a combination. So what you've got is existing talent being retrained. A lot of companies are offering, $2,000 or $3,000 annual training budgets that can be used for either attending events, coaching, certifications, and bringing in digital experts with very niche skills to help kind of build a cross-sectional hybrid team who can, implement that digital transformation. The biggest challenge with that is actually making sure that those two, kind of the old versus new, don't end up in a Hunger Games scenario. They actually integrate. So I've seen a lot of companies that end up with a really toxic culture because they haven't actually facilitated that integration. So we really need to make sure that, when you're bringing in new talent, that there is an appreciation for what the existing talent actually offer, and the fact that nobody's skill is sort of better than another. And that's definitely the most effective way to really expand a company's offering through digital.
What are some of the top jobs that you're seeing the most demand for and interest in? Does it tie to some of the technologies such as machine learning, blockchain, AI, that sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess innovation is always a buzzy, fascinating area for people to go into. I think the idea of creating new service offerings is always exciting, because it's like having your own little business, your own little baby that you're launching into the market through an established company. As far as software development goes, you're seeing a lot of demand for Python, Java, and Node development. I guess these are seen as the languages of the future, the ones that are allowing developers to create really interactive, dynamic experiences for the end user. Other roles, I guess we have seen more application of blockchain technology and like programmatic, really deep technical expertise required there, but we haven't seen, it's kind of a chicken and egg scenario. So employers don't necessarily have the roles yet or the applications in their business. Candidates don't have the skills because they haven't had time to work on those projects. So we're a little bit behind when it comes to those more futuristic roles.
Let's talk a little bit about digital influencers, social influencers. You are certainly a digital influencer in your own regard. Are you seeing that sector starting to mature a little bit, seeing them to become sort of the next evolution of digital influencers?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's really interesting about this area is that there is more responsibility of social influencers. So where they post a photo in an area where it's, off limits for environmental reasons, if they post photos, in a dangerous area, jumping into water without checking for stones, a lot of responsibilities being attached to influencers now as role models in the community. Another interesting point is that a lot of influencers are now making a lot of money out of being micro-influencers. So the idea of having 2, 3, 4 million followers is not as important as having a really highly engaged, smaller community of maybe 100,000 or 200,000 followers who are more likely to trust and buy from an individual. I follow a blogger slash podcaster called Spoonful of Sarah, and what's interesting about her is that she was a lawyer and she's basically decided to follow a new career path and become a social influencer instead, and now she's branched out into podcasting. So it's another way of her to reach her audience and actually create a narrative with her followers about who she is, what she stands for, what's important to her, and has become a really trusted, powerful influencer. So the diversification of channel usage is quite fascinating, and it shows that it's really a serious career path for some people.
My guest today has been Holly Tattersall, founder and CEO of Women in Digital and the Digital Talent Company. Holly, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it.